Walking in the bush, walking in the bush. There is nothing quite like it, walking in the bush.
Alright, so in this video for 11 PDHPE, looking at outdoor recreation, we've got our dot point on leadership styles. So the syllabus says on the left hand side we're going to learn about 4 leadership styles today, being democratic, laissez-faire, autocratic and strategic non-intervention. On the right hand side of the syllabus we're going to apply this information by being able to distinguish between the different leadership styles and debate their suitability in different situations. Let's go. So leadership styles. Leadership styles will greatly affect the participation and motivation and performance to that degree of a group. An effective leader will know the right situation to use all styles rather than just using one all the time. I think this is really good because you can sort of look at the school situation, okay? So technically a classroom teacher is a leader of the class. And so a good classroom teacher would use a different method of teaching depending on the activity and depending on what the content is that you're trying to learn, as opposed to just going in and using one style all the time. Because sometimes that style will work depending on what the activity is and what the content is, and sometimes that style won't work at all. So yeah, now let's go through the 4 styles. Alright, so our first leadership style we're going through in this video is the democratic leadership style. So democratic style is where members are involved in the decision-making process and discussion. So the leader will generally take votes, so it'll be like, here's what we can do, here are the options, does anyone else have any options? Let's all vote on what we think is the best option, okay? After the votes are taken, all the people, so let's say there's 10 people in the group and 7 vote for a certain option and 3 of them vote for a different one. The leader will then try and convince these 3 that this one is the better option. So they do try and persuade which way the vote goes, but overall it is very democratic, so everybody gets an opinion. Now, positives of the democratic leadership style is that the members of the group feel important, okay? So they ask for their opinion. What do you think we should do, okay? And it makes them, feel a bit nice on the insides. Shared responsibility. So if the group is successful, everybody will feel really good. That can also be a negative though, because then if something goes pear-shaped, everybody's going to feel responsible for that too. Wide range of options. So generally a leader, despite being like a meticulous planner, there may be some things that they haven't thought of, whereas some, outside the box type thinking individuals in the group may present an option which is better than what the leaders thought of. So there is that possibility there that the democratic leadership style can lead to a better outcome for the group. Negatives behind the democratic style is that sometimes these suggestions can show inexperience and therefore just be silly. Can lead to uncertainty within the group, so they're not really sure what's going to happen, as opposed to just being like a fix, this is what's happening. Can lead to conflict and dissension within the group, so then if it is a vote and let's say it's 10 people in the group and 5 go one way and 5 go the other, well then you're going to have conflict, all right? And then these people are going to feel like they're right, these people are going to feel like they're right, and there'll be arguments and stuff, and then bad stuff could happen. And time consuming. So as opposed to just like making a decision, getting on with it, you've got to sit down for this process and discussion and votes and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, you can see certain situations like bushfire where this would be a bad idea. Best uses of the democratic leadership style. So when we're doing fun and enjoyment activities, so it's not really anything to challenge us, it's not really anything to high risk, it's just more like, what do you think we should do? Here's some options, let's just do something fun. Then people can take a vote, because then it doesn't matter which way it goes, we're still going to have fun. So low risk situations as well, you don't want to be having conflict, dissension, and you don't want time consuming stuff to take up precious time in a high risk situation. And also problem solving, so it can help the problem solving process. So let's say the leader did have an issue, didn't know what to do particularly with that situation, ask the group, everybody has an input, okay? So it does help with that process. And that's democratic. So the second one is the laissez-faire leadership style, okay? So the leader in this style just leaves things to chance, just goes with the flow. You know, whatever happens, happens. You know, we can do this, we can do that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Disorganized. Okay. Doesn't matter until something goes bad, and then when it goes bad, it goes really bad. So, positives and negatives. Positive of the leadership style, it does promote and encourage leadership opportunities within the group. So if the leader's actually not stepping up and being a leader, then, you know, the group will be like, right, well, we've got to take things in our own hands, otherwise things are going to go pear-shaped real quickly. So someone will step up and start, you know, calling shots and probably use a different leadership style in place of the laissez-faire leader. Negatives. There is a higher risk of endangering the group with a laissez-faire style leadership due to poor planning, okay? Because they're disorganized, because they're just leaving things to chance, you know. It doesn't matter if the river rises overnight and we all drown. It doesn't matter if if we go bushfire, if we go walking in like a high fire danger area and a high fire time of year, because, you know, bushfire probably won't happen. And if it does, it happens, you know, like it's just bad. And the group, therefore, can lack attention to detail. So usually a leader will be reminding the group of things that they should be doing during their expedition, such as conservation skills, you know, leaving no trays, picking your rubbish up, taking all that kind of stuff with you. But the laissez-faire leader doesn't really care, so won't remind the group to do that stuff, and then they, you know, could lack that attention to detail. Best uses for the laissez-faire leadership style. So team building activities and problem solving activities in low and no risk situations. So basically the group is given an activity to do, and the lead will just take no leadership at all and just sit back and just what happens. So the group will be either very successful or they'll fail. And either way that will fall back onto the leader. So yeah, that's laissez-faire. All right, so our third one is our autocratic leadership style. And I'm sure that as I'm going through this, you can identify certain teachers around the school that do this all the time. The leader is 100% in charge. They call all the shots, they take no consult, okay? Their word is the law, and there's no gray line. It's black and white. Black, you're with the leader, white, you're against him, all right? Positives, it's efficient, okay? Because there's no discussion, there's no nothing, the leader's like, right, this is what we're doing, do it now, right now, okay? The leader will then also, as a positive, take all the responsibility, okay? So it means that the group can just get on with whatever the leader has instructed them to do, and they don't need to think about the repercussions because it's going to fall back onto the leader. But then when we talk about negatives, the obvious one is that the leader takes all responsibility. So if the leader isn't a meticulous planner and hasn't thought of all possible situations, and it falls back onto them, they could, you know, be seriously, you know, harmed, or they could, you know, lose their job, lose their income, that kind of stuff, depending on how bad it is. Another negative, no group input, which then leads into my final negative, which is unsatisfied group members. So they may feel that what the leader has told them to do isn't fair, or what the leader has told them to do isn't fun, and they can, you know, obviously think of a better way to do things, or a better way in their mind to do things, but because they can't tell the leader to shift on their word, they don't get that, so then they become unhappy, which, you know, happens around school a lot, I guess. Best uses of this leadership style, okay? High risk situations, emergency situations, and especially with younger or inexperienced groups, okay? So personally, I don't autocratic a lot. There are a couple of situations where I will autocratic. One, when students are just doing the wrong thing, so they're endangering other students. I need to sort of step up and yell at them a little bit, take charge. But the other time is anytime we leave school, okay? As soon as we step outside school boundaries in the public, you know, where there are so many variables which could go wrong, I need to make sure that the groups that I take outside of school are, you know, all the ducks are in a row. This is what you're doing. You're not crossing the road there. No, we're not going to the shops. No, we're not jumping on a jet ski. No, we're not getting on the jetty, that kind of stuff. Like, it's just autocratic. Yeah, cool. One to go. My favorite one to go. The one that I use most of the time. All right, so our final leadership style that we're going to go through, and my personal favorite, or the one that I use a lot in the classroom, is strategic non-intervention. So strategic non-intervention is a combination of the laissez-faire and the autocratic leadership styles. So the leader will let the group sort of self-direct, so give them an activity, let them go for it, but the leader will also step in if necessary. So if the activity is not working correctly, or if they're doing something which is going to endanger other individuals, or a risk arises, or there's just a general problem that the group can't solve, the leader is then there to sort of autocratic and take over a bit. So positives of the leadership style, it does promote group work and team building. Okay, so you are enabling the group to go about their own thing. Here's an activity, here's a problem, go for it. But also has a safety net, all right? If you don't understand what's going on, or if you need help with it, the leader is then there to direct. It does allow group members to also demonstrate leadership styles. So remember, with the laissez-faire, it requires somebody to step up. Same thing here, right? It does let someone step up, but then above them is still the proper leader who will then, either shut the activity down or, guide based on what's going on. So negatives, is the situation that they're in outdoor expeditions can become risky if the leader's not paying attention and they don't intervene in like a timely fashion, okay? So if the leader, let's say the leader said, okay, you can direct us on our bushwalk today, and instead of watching where they were going, the leader's like on their phone or something, and then all of a sudden they're all walking off a cliff. I mean, it wouldn't actually happen, but something like that would be really bad. Whereas if the leader should have been paying attention and said, hey guys, actually stop, that way you're about to go is straight to a cliff edge, let's go this way instead. Good idea. Best uses of the strategic non-intervention leadership style. For assessment purposes, okay? So I've got in brackets here Duke of Edinburgh. I think I have talked about it before in class. So Duke of Edinburgh is basically, it's sort of, what's the best way to describe it? It's like Scouts in school, okay? Duke of Edinburgh is like an award. It goes over a few years. You've sort of got to demonstrate a few competencies, and it's sort of like a checklist. And then a teacher in the school will sign you off on Duke of Edinburgh. And at the end of it, you get, a nice little trophy or a medal. Actually, I think you get a medal. It's really nice. Anyway, we've had a couple of kids here do it over the years, but it's not big. But it's fun. You should do it. It gets you out of school. Best use is also problem solving. So problem solving activities and team building activities like the other leadership styles, but also remember with that safety net there, just in case the leader needs to step in and assist. So yeah, that is the end of our leadership styles video. Thanks, bye.